Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and wherever you're going. Welcome to another episode of the Dierks and Denver Podcast. As always, I'm Dierks, joined by my co-host and best friend, Denver. We're here today. It's the afternoon of Saturday, April the 24th. We haven't done one of these in a couple of weeks. We decided to take some time off, let some more kind of content pieces grow. We've been really engrossed in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, and that is the big topic we have today. Very excited to talk about that. We'll also do a little bit of NBA housekeeping and stuff toward the end. But before we get into any of that, I gotta know, Denver, how are you? It's been a while.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm enjoying life. School's done for me in about 24 hours for the semester. So I'm just trying to coast through that. What else happened? I found a love for a game that's 7 years old, and I've probably watched one of my favorite Marvel series of all time. Uh, and we'll talk about it. So I've been good. I've been good.
Yes, on a note not related to anything that we're really gonna dive into today. How are you enjoying life as a member of the PC gang?
Oh, I love it. It's great. I use this thing for everything. Um, I love playing like different games. Ever since you last time we played Warzone, the before prior to the new map update, you helped me like cap my settings a little bit. And now like I don't run at anything lower than 152 frames a second. It's fantastic. Ever since you help me cap that. So that's fantastic. Um, but I've
Hey,
been playing a lot of Grand Theft Auto 5.
folks, we're adding a new subject to the podcast live. I knew I was forgetting something. We're gonna talk about some Call of Duty.
Oh God, I haven't even played this map yet. You can't. This isn't fair.
This is completely fair. You've had your opportunity. It's been like 3 days.
Look, man,
Well,
my
you
life is
you you
hard.
can give input here and there. You can talk about how excited you are, if nothing else.
Okay.
Bang, on the fly content. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Denver.
Yeah.
I know you're like a giddy little schoolgirl about this whole thing.
Yeah.
So I will do you the solid of allowing you to go first. Denver, I'll let you start.
Oh, thank you. Okay. First off, this is the incorrect title of the show. By the end, it's
Oh,
actually Captain America. Spoilers.
we're rewinding. Spoiler alert. If you care about that sort of thing and you have not. We totally fucked this. I gotta put it
Look,
back
there's
to a
gonna be
main screen.
spoilers.
Yeah, I gotta put it back to a main screen and do some cutting. We're gonna rewind. Before we get into any of this, we're gonna spoil the shit out of this show. All 6 episodes, probably at one point or another. So if you care about that sort of thing, uh, either don't listen and come back after you've watched it, or just allow us to enlighten you as to the situation at hand. Now, back to the regularly scheduled programming. Here we go.
All right. Well, okay. So back to the regularly
I'm
scheduled
sorry,
programming.
we're a little out of practice. We haven't done this in a couple of weeks. We're getting back into it.
Yeah, we're just kind of fucking doing it live. Some who said that? Fuck it, let's do it live. Who said that? God, that was a thing we said in high school for like 2 months. I forgot. Anyway, that's Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I would like to point out. So let's start from the beginning. The premise of this show starts off with Sam Wilson doesn't want to be Captain America. He's
This
like,
is right after the conclusion of Endgame
yes.
for the
And
timeline.
and so he gives up the shield to a museum, and like a week and a half later, the US government is like, everybody, let's meet this guy, John Walker, the new Captain America. And everybody shits on that guy for the first 3 episodes. It is
Yeah, yeah.
hilarious.
I think that's kind of the first point we should probably pause and really look at. Right? Is obviously the majority of the first episode is just a lot of the background where it's them establishing kind of where Sam and where Bucky are post Endgame, and kind of how their immediate lives were affected.
Yeah.
Because if I recall, both of them disappeared, right?
Bucky just did. Sam never did. He was doing stuff for the government the entire time when the government asked him to. But
Is that
Bucky,
is that factual?
yeah, yeah, because the show starts off and he's taken down a terrorist organization for the U.S. government prior to them like going to like third world country that didn't like the doesn't like America.
All right, I'll let you
But
go on. I'm determined to determine
it's
this.
like
I'm
it's the
almost.
first scene. It's the very first scene in
Yeah,
like the
yeah, no,
entire
I'm
series.
aware. I was really. Am I totally like fabricating something? I thought for sure. I remember, right after the snap. I feel like I remember Sam and Bucky disappearing like back to back.
No, no, just Bucky disappeared. Sam didn't. Sam didn't disappear. Oh well, at least I don't think so, because the way the show makes it seem, Sam is still there doing stuff for the government. Anyway, while Dirk looks this up, I'll start with Bucky. Bucky's kind of done is doing this like redemption thing. He's finally free of like the Hydra
Yeah.
um words. Yeah, was all right.
No.
Oh, I wasn't.
Um. If we can, I don't know if that's gonna be readable because of the window glare.
I don't even know. Let me. What does it say?
Winter Soldier slash Bucky Barnes and Falcon slash Sam Wilson. Many fans have speculated that either Bucky or Falcon will take over the Captain America mantle. Huh.
Yeah.
This was written after Infinity War. Both of them disappeared. It says right here. Both of them disappeared.
They both were disappearing in the snap.
Yes.
I thought Sam was still around in the snap.
Okay, so now that we've determined that I'm right, we can
Okay. Anyway.
move forward as though nothing happened.
Okay. Anyway, so Bucky's doing this thing where he's going to therapy and doing like the where you check off names you've hurt in the past, and he's very like fixated. You see this scene in the first episode of him killing this young Asian man, and Bucky cannot just live it down. He's dreaming about it, and he's actually in contact with that kid's father in the first couple episodes.
But obviously, the father does not know. That's important.
Yeah, the father doesn't know, and Bucky has a hard time telling him. So we get in this first episode, and you kind of get this feeling of Bucky is very, very upset with Sam for giving up the shield, and John Walker being the new Captain America, because to Bucky, the shield meant that Steve believed in Sam and was like, "You can handle it. You can handle the mantle." And Sam was like, "Nah, I'm good. I got things going on." So, and then in the first episode, we kind of see the Flag Smashers a little bit, destroying some stuff. They are that meme I was like late last year where it was like the show's villain versus the real villain type of thing. Is their cause is really good. Everyone's coming back from the snap. The governments are like, hey, we gotta like put people back where they come from, all that stuff. And the Flag Smashers like, no, like that's gonna cause a lot of issues, a lot of problems, a lot of homelessness. And so you get this Flag Smasher thing, and Bucky and Sam can't seem to figure it out. So where do they turn to? My favorite character in this whole series, for as long as he was there, was Zemo. I loved Zemo. Zemo, you are a fantastic actor for that. Like that was the best casting um, you could have done there. He played a great role in the show as being this kind of witty one-liner, every other sentence type of guy who's just like, I can't even think right about like what he said, but that's what his character was.
Obviously,
So
very different than the little bit that we were exposed to him in. It was Civil War, right?
yes,
Remembering that part correctly. Yeah,
yep.
you don't really see him as anything other than like this very kind of deranged person that only has one goal in mind, and that's to destroy the Winter Soldier program and all this other crap
And
to go along with
so
it.
the Flag Smashers, though, there's several of them who took the super soldier serum, and that's what caused Bucky and Falcon to notice and kind of go to Zemo because Zemo's like totally against it, so he would be great for help. And America's like, hey man, we got this new guy named John Walker back here. He's great. He can do a whole bunch of stuff. He did a whole bunch of stuff for his military background. Let him help. And he gets his ass beat, and it's hilarious. Um, but that takes us through episode 1, really.
I
Um,
mean, you touched on a lot of things from episode 2 as
oh, did I?
well,
Oh,
right?
I
I mean, like bits. There's a little bit
yes.
of overlap there, I'm pretty sure, but
I remember episode 2 being when they go to Mandapore,
yeah, they
and
break. I think it starts with them breaking Zemo out of prison, right?
yeah, and he's like, "Hey, I have this place we can go, and I know these people, and
We're
it's where
gonna
all
go to
like
this
the crime,
place and do these things. It's gonna be cool.
pretty much." And they get there, and the big reveal in this episode is that, well, there's two. One's not a reveal, but it's like this announcement of this figure that's ever looming in the show's background, and that's the Power Broker.
It's power
Who
broker.
is who is this person who runs this island of insane villains and bad people? And so they're trying to figure it out, and they run into old familiar Sharon Carter, and she's there in exile, um, and she's just chilling, doing things. And Falcon Winter Soldier's like, "Hey, we can use your help," and she's like, I think that's great. And Falcon's like, if you help us, I'll make sure you get like diplomatic immunity and get a what is it, a
A pardon.
pardon. I'll make sure you get a pardon. And she's like, definitely.
I bet.
Um, and so some shit happens, and then she makes a phone call or two, and like Dirks would like to point it out, spoiler alert, she's the goddamn power broker.
Yeah,
She's
I think I gotta give myself a big pat on the back. I'm probably not the only one, obviously, but literally from the moment that like they are in a conversation with her about the power broker, I called. I'm like, this bitch is the power broker.
oh yeah.
She
It,
just she's a little shady. You can tell a lot's changed from when she was just Agent Carter.
very
Um,
much true.
and just the way at the end of this episode, if you're to that point yet, I don't want to skip ahead if you're gonna say some more things about while they're on Madripoor, but
Um, the only other things that I can remember from that, I think it's that episode, maybe it's episode 3, when they go into the like little container
yeah, they
crates.
go into the lab. They
Yeah,
find the man who recreated the super soldier serum, whose name is escaping me at the moment, but it's really not that important in the grand scheme of things.
Sharon Card
And
shoots him.
yeah, bad shit happens. And at the end of that exchange, we see Sharon get into a vehicle with like a chauffeur,
Yeah,
and
I
and
guess
she
we
she's
call it.
been portrayed as like this lone wolf, And it was at that exact moment, that's when I was like, she's it.
Yeah,
She's got big pants.
she's got big pants. So that's pretty much the episode 2 for the most part. They're just chilling in Mandaport with Zima. And episode 3 is the wild. Is it's episode 3? That's the insane one, right?
No,
But
episode 4 is the crazy one. What is episode 3? Like, did we just merge
yeah, now
the 3 episodes into 2? I gotta go look what the
yeah. So do I. I'm over here like,
because I know the 4th one is the one where like shit really pops off. What's 3?
oh yeah, we did
Oh, I
we did
told you.
merge it. We
Ah, I
did merge.
messed it up. I let you mess it up too. Yeah, so no, episode 3 is the super serum one. That's when they go to Madripoor.
Um, so we combine episode 2 and episode 3
Yeah,
together.
we kind of
Uh,
so that's not important. But episode 4, shit just pops off. After
yeah,
episode 4, Denver and I talked extensively, and I think the last 20 minutes, which will obviously start with the first part of episode 4, but the last 20 minutes, I mean, that might be like that's up there for like the most entertaining 20 minutes of anything in the MCU for me.
oh yeah,
It was wild.
I could agree with that. So this episode we see John Walker is starting to become more agitated with the fact that he is not fit to handle someone like Carly and the Flag Smashers. He seems to get his ass beat every time, no matter how hard he tries.
It's like to that point, it feels like he thinks the villains or in this case, yeah, it's hard for me to call the Flag Smashers true villains, but the antagonists. There you
Yeah.
go. It's like he thinks they should show him some respect since he carries the shield,
Yeah, exactly.
and he doesn't. And like obviously Bucky and Sam are doing their own thing. They don't really consider him Captain America. The only part of him that is Captain America is the title, like kind of like you said, given to him by the government. So he's, not filling those shoes left by Steve Rogers well is basically what I'm getting at. And yeah, he just starts to kind of lash out.
Yeah, and so there's big fight ensues really early on in the episode, and he comes across a vial of the super soldier serum, and him and his sidekick, who I can't remember his name right now, Lamar, are
That's
in a
not
bar.
also. That's not. He doesn't find it early, right? He finds it late.
No, he finds it early.
He's chasing Zemo after he loses Carly in the end.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yep.
Also,
Dirk's right.
I hate to rewind too much. The one thing that we also skipped over that I don't know how we really skipped over this because it was a part that you and I both found very interesting. I think it was from episode 2, the therapy scene where Bucky and Sam are forced to do basically couples therapy with Bucky's PTSD counselor essentially is absolutely hilarious.
Yes,
that's comedy. That's definitely a highlight of the series.
Oh yes,
just very great. I would have felt bad if we went through this whole thing and didn't mention just the smile that brought to both of our faces, and now we can move forward.
Anyway, so he takes the super soldier serum after Lamar. It's like, yeah, I would take it. It's awesome. So he takes it, and he loses his shit and fucking murders somebody.
You just skipped over everything, didn't you? You just went right for it.
Okay, Sam talks to Carly, tries to get her to calm down, give him the super soldier serum. She's about to do it. John Walker comes in, is like, I'm Captain America. You're under arrest, Carly. And she's like running, and there's this big chase and fight scene going on for these vials. And Zemo actually destroys several of them when given the opportunity. So good on his part. And so they have this big battle. It's like Lamar and Winter Soldier and Sam, Captain America, Carly, and Carly punches the holy hell out of Lamar and kills him.
Where we are right now, I just want to throw this out there and test the waters. R.I.P. Lamar, by the way, because I'm about to roast you. I'm sorry. You could really say that the obviously the writers of this story had to follow the comics, so you could really blame this on the comic writers, but that would ruin the timing of this joke. I just thought I'd lay it out there ahead of time. You could really say the writers of this show killed Lamar twice when they gave him the really great sidekick name of Battlestar. What kind of fucking name is that? That is like one of the worst things I've ever heard in my life.
God.
They killed him twice in 4 episodes.
Yikes. I see, like, it's so irrelevant. He's such a fucking, oh my God. Anyway.
I think the big thing that we shouldn't totally brush over here is earlier in the episode, Sam goes and talks to Carly.
Yeah.
And then they're... Well, and then, like...
And John Walker busts in and is like, hey, I'm Captain America.
But then Sam and Carly are going to talk again. Like, Carly invites Sam to talk to her alone since they got interrupted the first time.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I totally forgot that.
And then when John Walker goes rogue and both of them learn about it, well, I should say all 3 of them, because while Carly says come alone, Bucky comes with Sam to the meeting.
Yeah.
And you're inclined to believe for a minute, if you didn't know that there was more to the show, they couldn't end the storyline there, of course. You're inclined to believe for a minute, since the talk that Sam and Carly were having before John Walker burst in the first time was productive, or it looked like it was productive. You would believe that the second talk could also be productive, but then John Walker goes rogue and just, of course, this is where, as we kind of alluded to a little bit ago, he goes absolutely off the rails.
Oh yeah.
And this is really where the series like kicks it into like way high gear. From here on out, just wild ass shit happens.
Yeah. Anyway, he murders one of Carly's number 2s in front of everybody. Everyone's recording it. And that's how we end episode 4.
Very aptly named While the Whole World Watches, or something like that.
Yeah.
While everyone is watching. Something to that effect. I want to...
The whole world is watching, yes.
Yeah, we're... if we pause right there, the imagery at the end of that episode is just really impactful if you're a fan of the MCU, because if you go back to the end of Civil War, when Cap and Iron Man are fighting, Cap is in a very similar situation in terms of like the positioning. Iron Man is flat on his back as this member of the Flag Smasher is, and Cap has his shield raised, and it looks like he's going to, finish Tony Stark. But he holds on and displays that self-control that Captain America is supposed to be known for. Well, obviously, this is where they draw the line in the sand, and they're like, John Walker is so far removed from Captain America. He murdered someone who he even knows is not the person responsible for Lamar's death, even though he tries to like kind of convince himself that this guy's responsible. And we'll get into that, I'm sure, here in a second. But just like absolutely horrific. And then the very ending, I think it's the last thing you see in that episode before it fades to black or whatever, is very low angle camera shot looking right back up at him, and you can see like the shield is just dripping in blood. It's very, as graphic really as Marvel gets for being not R-rated movies kind of thing.
With that wraps up episode 4. Episode 5 is called The Truth. And it starts off with John Walker running, and Bucky and Falcon are chasing him down, and it turns into a big fight scene.
Which did this strike you as odd in any way that it went to that right away? Like, I can understand Bucky and Sam being like, "Hey, dude, like, you just lost it right there. You don't deserve the shield." But it felt a little bit weird, in my opinion, or like a little bit forced, maybe, that all of a sudden you have the three of them like in a freaking fight to the death.
Yeah.
Almost. I don't know. In like some random ass warehouse. I don't know. It felt a little weird to me. I don't know if you want to share your thoughts on that.
I don't know if it felt weird per se. It's just I thought that how do I word it? It's weird that you just see John Walker running, and Sam and Bucky are not chasing him at the beginning. They just meet him in the warehouse.
Yeah, they just are there.
Yeah. There's no chase scene. It's just John Walker's running. I think that's the weirdest part to me, but it makes sense. Like, someone's
I
got to
could
take him down.
understand a fight scene, but like the violent nature of the fight scene that we get, it's like, I understand that they're three very like strong-willed individuals, and John Walker is going off the deep end, both physically and psychologically. But I don't know, like, they almost had to like kill him to take the shield, and I felt that was a little excessive. He's like trying to kill them, and I mean, like, I understand that like he's now a super enhanced individual, but
I just love the way he's
no, like you act like him taking the serum is like, it's now the reason. What does either of them, or what does either party killing the other party right there like gain? They're not really enemies, so like why is it a fight to the death if they're not like truly enemies? They're not obviously allies either, but
I don't think Bucky and Sam would have killed him. I think it's within their moral compass now, especially Bucky.
Well, I don't think they would have killed him, but they fucking broke his damn arm and didn't even blink about it.
He almost tried to kill Sam when he had the shield literally.
That's what I'm saying though. Like, this fight felt a little bit like it pushed the edge a little bit, and I don't know, maybe I'm not fully comprehend. Maybe he has some like bizarre demon rage that
yeah, that's the whole point. Is like he to John Walker, he is doing the good of the people. Okay.
Yeah.
That is how he views it. But to everybody else, he's crazy. He took the serum, and his mental state's not there, and Bucky knows it because Bucky has been there. So that's
my point is, they're, as you pointed out, they're not like trying to kill him. They're just trying to take the shield.
Yeah.
At that point, okay, yeah, he can be like, yeah, I don't want you to take the shield. But how does that, like, if he knows that they're not really a lethal threat, why is he responding with lethal force to
Bucky's a lethal threat. He still has a super soldier serum. He's just not like programmed anymore.
You totally misunderstood what I'm trying to say there, but both of them could kill him. That I'm not saying that they couldn't. I'm saying they're not going to kill him.
Yeah.
He probably would know that they're not going to kill him. They just want the shield. So why is he then responding with lethal force? This is I don't know. The dots just it's not quite connecting for me. It's not like it's super far off. It just was a little weird, in my opinion.
Well, and then we move on from this heated battle between us to John Walker getting revoked as Captain America.
That was a very odd scene too. It just
I felt episode 5 was the weirdest episode out of all of the
I quite
episodes.
enjoyed it, to be honest. It was just very, yeah, weird things occurred.
So he gets revoked as Captain America. And I guess so like there was rumored to be like a big surprise in the show. Overall, kind of like with WandaVision, there was a surprise here and there. And the surprise came in Val, this random woman who approaches John Walker after his
Temper
court.
tantrum
Yeah,
in front of a Senate hearing.
and she's like,
Or
"What you
military
did was
tribunal.
great. What you did, they should thank you. And if it wasn't on camera, they would thank you. And just here's my number, and I'll call you when I need you." And that's kind of it for John Walker in this episode. Besides at the very end, and then we get like this. One thing we missed completely because there's so much to talk about is Isaiah Bradley.
That's true.
He,
We meet
and
him in episode 2, I think.
Yeah,
2 or 3.
I think so. This episode has a lot to do with Sam coming to him for advice, and it's kind of like no black man could ever be Captain America. Look at what they did to me. Look at my life, and look at how terrible it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this whole kind of subplot in the show with Sam and his sister trying to sell a boat. And this episode has a lot to deal with them fixing up the boat. And it's kind of hinted at in this episode that Bucky wants to bang Sam's sister. Or
Why did
vice
you got to
versa.
bring that up on the pod, bro?
Well,
That didn't ever
it's
come to
true.
anything. That didn't ever come to anything. So you bringing that out, dude, you got the horny vibes going. We got to chill.
No, because it comes back in episode 6 at the very end when he's, I assume, flirting with her, and her kids are hanging on his vibranium arm. He's like, "Look at me, yeah. You want to talk to me? Like, I'm Bucky. Like, what's up?"
Stop.
It's a thing.
We're moving on, and this is not negotiable.
So, sorry, it's the love. It's a love thing that happens in every show ever. Anyway, so they kind of do that. Zemo goes away. He gets taken by some Wakandans. That's in the show. He's being hunted by Wakandans.
I feel like a dumbass too. Low key, one of the best parts of this show too that doesn't get talked about is it episode? I want to say it's early in episode 4. That could be a misfire. Is when the Dora Milaje show up. If you're not truly familiar with the terminology, the Dora Milaje are the personal guard of the Black Panther. And they show up and they're like, give us Zemo. Like, because he's the one who, of course, set off the bomb that killed King T'Chaka. Correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Back, that was... I don't even remember when we first
That was
see
Civil War too.
I think it was Civil War, but I didn't want to say that and be wrong.
God damn, everything happens in Civil War.
Yeah, but Civil War's a great movie. We digress. We could talk for days about the 23 movies of the Infinity
Anyway,
Saga.
I don't feel like there's any.
And then the
major
Dora
things.
Milaje kicked the shit out of John Walker in this random ass apartment. That's low key. That's what I was getting to. That was a fucking great moment in that episode. And during the midst of it, Bucky tries to break it up, and they disable his arm, and it falls off.
And they're like, is it Sam or Zemo who's like, "Did you know they could do that?" And he's like, "No." And he just puts it on. It's
Nah,
so
fam. The Dora Milaje are just cool, badass women. Love it. And then, as you said, it is Bucky who then calls on them again to come and take Zemo to the raft.
The raft. Yeah, we've seen the raft before.
Yes.
That was also in Civil War. I can't remember if there's anything major in episode 5 besides the very end cutscene.
Yeah, you kind of hinted this already. Episode 5, the vast majority of it after that military hearing is Sam and Bucky, but mostly Sam, kind of
Yeah.
mentally and physically preparing to become, as he would become, the fusion of Falcon and Captain America. So just Captain America with wings.
Yeah.
Um,
I love it
I'm
though.
gonna
I
be
love
real.
the
I love
costume.
it. I'm a huge fan, absolutely huge fan. Don't get it twisted. Um, but yeah, it's like you said, it's him talking with Isaiah, and kind of coping with the fact that the two people who have been Captain America previously, Steve Rogers and John Walker, fit a type,
Yeah.
and Sam Wilson as a black man does not fit that type. And so, what are the repercussions of him accepting the shield? How would that look to, black men similar to Isaiah who served the country and just were kind of thrown into the trash, so to speak. And so Sam finds a way to cope with that. He then is also training with the shield that they took from JW, and that all leads up to episode 6. I don't think we're forgetting anything.
No.
Although the very end credit scene of episode 5, we see JW, who apparently, on top of being, a combat veteran and super soldier, is an avid welder and craftsman.
Apparently.
Very just wild developments in the plot. And you see him welding his own shield, and he goes so far as to even paint it just like the Captain America shield.
Dude.
And you're just like, holy shit, this guy is an absolute lunatic. Like,
Yeah.
he's truly convinced he's still Captain America.
We end episode 5 with the meeting between all the world leaders, and the lights go out, and that's it. Or there's some red. I think there maybe some red, like, tint coloring. And that's it. That's the end of episode 5. That leads into episode 6, which I'm gonna say it. This is just I'm gonna review it. Episode 6 is a 30-minute fight scene with about 12 minutes of aftermath in it. Literally, the first half of this show is a giant fight scene between everybody. We got Sam, Bucky, John, Carly. We have the original. We have George St. Pierre's character. We have
Bartok.
Bartok, yes, I think that's his name. We have Sharon Carter, and they just you have to me you have to watch it to understand everything that happens in this fight scene, because there is so much that goes on, from kind of like this weird, awkward alliance between Bucky and John Walker, kind of helping each other. Sam coming in as like his comic book rendition of his version of Captain America with wings.
Which low-key was like super badass.
I loved it, and I saw this in one of my videos that I watched, but like the centerpiece of his suit, if you go back and look at like the original, I think it's either Winter Soldier or the First Soldier, like the Captain America star piece is the same one that Steve used in those films. So to me, you really need to go watch that fight scene for everything to kind of click. Harley dies, type of thing. But
yeah, so one thing we kind of glossed over in this whole thing, we were more fixated on the arcs of Sam and Bucky and John Walker. The Flag Smashers want things to both kind of go back and stay the same. We're still in that fuzzy area right after Endgame's plotline ends, where now there's all these people who have relocated during the 5 years people were away, and so it's creating weird dynamics between countries, stuff like that. It's like people getting relocated, deported, whatever you want to say. And the Flag Smashers aren't for that. They want basically countries without borders.
Yeah.
Is an easy way to say it.
One
And
people,
so that
one world.
you find that their end game here, no pun intended, sorry, but like that's the only way I can think to say it. Their end game of their plan through all of this is to stop a vote by the GRC, is Global Repatriation Council, I think. I don't remember.
Yeah.
If that's exactly what it stands for or not, but it basically they hold the entire GRC hostage, and then attempt to murder all of them. That is their end game. And so you have the three main characters then of what we've seen to the show so far trying to stop Carly and her gang from accomplishing that, which is where Denver was talking. Basically it goes down like every real superhero movie ever, where the good guys stop the bad thing from happening. So that part wasn't super duper like thrilling in any way. Kind of interesting.
Last,
just go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, to me, it's the last like 15 to 20 minutes of the show where you get past like the superheroes, like you said, superheroes always win type of thing. And you get like really, I wouldn't say great character development, but you get a good idea of where things are shaping for the MCU on Earth. Because there's a difference between the MCU on Earth and MCU outside of Earth. Like WandaVision is going to deal with a lot of multiverse stuff that's out there, while this show is going to be based and grounded on like what's going on, like on the ground.
Sorry.
Go on.
I was just gonna say the biggest thing we get from that fight scene before we get to your, the character development side of things, because Denver is correct in saying there's two kind of distinct parts to this last episode. It's that first 30 minutes or so is, systematically kind of people are getting into altercations. We see Val again as she hands Bucky a phone that Carly's on the phone. That shit was wild. I'm still not 100% sure I've digested that and fully.
Was that Val?
I thought it was.
No, I thought it was just a random person. That's not Val.
It looked like her.
No, it's not Val. I guarantee. I would bet $100 right now. I'd Venmo you $100 if it was Val.
I'm just saying. And then the one thing we get out of this is there's then an altercation between Sharon and Carly, and Carly shoots Sharon not fatally, and then Sam and Carly get in a fight, which then ends with Sharon shooting Carly fatally. Right. Which, I'm not gonna lie to you, felt like the most I don't even know if there's if I have the word right on the tip of my tongue to describe it. It was just a very unsatisfying like antagonist death, if I being honest. Like,
I could agree with you. I think they could have done more with her.
She doesn't even like say anything profound really right before she dies, like tends to happen in these things. She literally gets like shot, looks at Sam, says I'm sorry, and then dies.
Yep.
I felt it was very kind of not satisfying, and also, in a way you're sympathetic to what she's fighting for. Now you can definitely either agree or disagree with the methods, but you don't think she's like a fundamentally horrible person.
No,
really.
She's one of those like great in concept type of people, but poor in execution.
Mm-hmm.
Concept is great, poor in execution.
I thought for the vast majority of the show, she was a great antagonist. So it felt really weird that they just kind of Gave her literally the most stock standard death of all time. It's like, oh, you got shot, you're dead.
Yeah.
But then now we can move on because that was really the only
the
thing.
only major thing in that fight. Oh, they announced that Sharon's the power broker in that fight too.
Yeah. Eventually, that is the reveal.
Yeah. And anyway, we get to like the last 15 minutes where Bucky wraps up his storyline with his trying to redeem himself. Tells the Asian father, he murdered his son.
Give that man some respect. His name is Mr. Nakajima.
Sorry, I can't remember everything in the world. He sends a little care package to his counselor with all of his names. There's a name circled on there. Sam, the boat's still there. They're living large down there.
In the bayou.
In the bayou, yeah. And you see Isaiah Bradley. That was another big thing that was really good. He finally gets to be up front, as not this secret super soldier person per se. He's in the museum now, and that's a really emotional moment. What else? Oh, John Walker becomes his comic book part and U.S. agent.
Part was very odd to me. I'm glad we got to this, is because I'm still not. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the obviously the comics, and you do a lot more of the reading in terms of understanding the comics than I do. How the frick does Val being his handler fit into this storyline at all?
I will tell you right now. I had no idea who the fuck she was. Okay. I had to do my own research. And here is what I found out. She is a useless character.
Ah, great.
She dated she was with oh my god, I can't think of his name. But she's pointless. She's not anything worth a damn. But she's going to be very important here, and apparently she's a character in Black Widow, or her name gets mentioned in Black Widow.
That makes sense.
So, of some sort. So she has some form or another, but in the comics she's not very profound by any means. U.S. agent though, he's a pretty big dude. He becomes Captain America. It doesn't work out, kind of like how it goes in here. And so what are you doing?
You keep talking. I'm doing something.
Okay. So John Walker is, I want to see where his character arc goes, because I'm intrigued by that. But as his handler, yeah, I'm not really sure what the point of that is, as it's hey, you're going to do stuff for America, but you're not going to be Captain America. You're going to be U.S. agent. And we get that reveal. And at the very end of the show and credit scene, to me, last thing I can remember is Sharon Carter's, she gets a pardon, and first thing she does when she gets outside of the Capitol building is she calls somebody and says, hey, yo, super soldiers here might be off the table, but the U.S. government secrets are now here, so get your buyers, your prototypes, all your weapons.
Yeah. Did you wanna tell the wonderful people that listen to the podcast your crazy ass conspiracy that you told me, that I feel like is quite clearly wrong because most of the conspiracies that you spew when it comes to Marvel lately have been wrong. But I'll give you
Okay,
the this gives
so
you the platform at the very least.
okay, so I was watching a YouTube video, quote to new rock stars. I love their little Easter egg breakdowns and everything. I love them. And he did this Easter egg breakdown in the last episode, and one of the first things that he mentions is there's a green glowing tint to these like little bombs that are going off, these little smoke devices, mercury. There is some technology that is just kind of crazy. Um, that it takes like Bucky like 5 hits to like break it, punch it out. And so, the crazy conspiracy is that the person behind this technology is going to be Norman Osborn of Oscorp, aka the Green Goblin. It's probably not true, but it would be crazy if it was. That's it. That's done. I'm done talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier. You can wrap it up.
Yeah, I think if you haven't watched, obviously go watch because as a fan of the MCU for many years, I think Denver and I can both say confidently this is one of the best things I've ever watched. Like
Yeah, it was really
I
good.
was a big fan of WandaVision. I thought they did a really good job with that show. This show is very different than WandaVision uh in many ways, but like holy shit. Like
I have a question
I'd
for you.
give this like this is at least an 8.5 out of 10 for me, and like I don't give high grades because I'm a stickler.
I have a
So
question for you before
yeah,
we wrap up this segment. Now that
absolutely.
we've had two MCU shows, which format do you like better? Do you like the 9 episode, 30 minute format, or do you
Mm,
like
uh,
the six
What
episode, hour
I
long
I
kind of
think
format?
I think honestly the biggest thing for me is I liked the 6 hour one better because you know by the time you were done, even though they were shorter episodes, by the time you were done with 9 weeks, like the shit you watched at the very beginning, that was over 2 months ago now.
Yeah.
By the time you get to the end, this obviously was only 3 weeks shorter, but anything that uh, you know kind of reduces the amount of time, that's like the one downside to this format, in my opinion. And I'm not afraid to say it. The way both of these shows worked out, I didn't want to forget anything that happened in the penultimate episode in the final episode. So I waited, and so like for WandaVision, I waited. I did not watch episode 8 in week 8. I watched episode 8 and 9 together the day that episode 9 came out. And I did the
Yep.
exact same thing with episodes 5 and 6 here. Um and so that's the thing I have a problem with is honestly like this is if you just were able to, you know, act like it's a movie, you could watch 3 episodes a day and do this as like a 2 day viewing thing. Um, it's much easier to like digest. I feel like um,
Yeah, you
without
really have to
the
be
the
paying
kind of the
attention.
cliffhangers and having to wait a week. Giving a week is good in some aspects. You give yourself time to digest what's happened, but you also then give yourself that same amount of time to forget some of the little things. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So with that, that wraps it up. Go watch it. It's a great show. It is phenomenal with some of the uh, camera cuts and the scenes that are being made available. And so go out, go watch it. It's but it is for my rating. I would probably give it an 8 out of 10. There's a couple things that I disagree with, I think. But with that, we'll slowly transition into our next great thing that happened this week. And for Dirksy, who has had the luxury of playing, I have been lazy and have not.
Hey, I'm back.
They they did this wild event in Call of Duty Warzone, and it blew up, literally. blew up
Literally.
Verdansk. Literally, they blew up Verdansk and took us back in time to Verdansk in 1984.
Yeah, you'd think, on a side note before I throw anything up on the screen, you'd think I'd be able to find a damn map, like the map of the new map. Oh, is this it? Boy, this
That
is an
is.
absolutely horrid picture, but it's the only thing I can find. So, um, yes, I don't know how much Denver said already, but Wazan, baby,
Yeah,
Wazan.
no, I haven't said much. We got a new map. I should rephrase it, and not a complete new map. There are sections of the map that have been heavily changed and
The whole
redone.
map has been reskinned, and parts of the map have been redone.
Yeah, there we go.
It is.
That's great.
I'm gonna say it now. For all intents and purposes, it's very close to the same map. But they did make some, pretty solid changes in my opinion. We'll get into that here very shortly.
Yeah,
Um,
so
Go, yeah, Denver, wherever you want to start, since you're the one who hasn't played
so
yet.
I haven't played, but I've watched a lot of videos. I've watched a lot of streams. And my favorite thing to add about the new map is the overall like brightness and feel of it. I have yet to play it, but I like how bright everything is, and I like how there isn't so many. I felt like when you destroy, like Verdansk when we got it was destroyed. There were things that were broken. There's a lot of places to hide when things are destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're either building or you're just new, like we'll go to Superstore, right? Superstore post nuke was destroyed. There were places to hide all the time. There was what it's in the front of the store. There was like cashiers, there were like things tilted over the cashiers, all that stuff. But when you go there now, it is a complete open lane. There is no hiding in that thing. If you're caught in that open lane, you're gonna get shot. You're gonna die in that. Um, but overall, I like how it looks so much brighter. It looks like a new feel
Yeah,
to me.
that's the best part that I've been able to report on so far is the brightness of the map definitely has improved a lot. There's a lot less of those corners that, you know, you you could basically run right past somebody if they were wearing a rose skin and never see him. So they kind of they nerfed the rose skin in two aspects. One, they improved the like universal lighting across the map. And two, I do think they tweaked the way lighting like bounces off the rose skin a little bit. So that part's nice. And like you said, it just some of the things they changed, they just does it feels better right now for the most part.
Yeah, it's new, so everything's good. The one thing that I will go back to that, again, you said to me, because I haven't played, but it doesn't feel like we're restricted to like a 2 to 3 gun meta right now.
That's the other side of things is on top of the map update. I got to give Raven a lot of credit. They released a massive balance pass to a lot of these Cold War weapons. We saw the fact that the AUG and the M16 just absolutely dominated as the primary weapon there for a long while. Um, and they nerfed both of those, so that they're both still good in terms of their killing potential, but it takes a lot more skill to use them because you actually have to kind of aim and hit your shots instead of being able to spam a burst weapon.
Yeah.
Which obviously I think is the right way to go about it. The FFAR is still pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. So you still see a lot of FFARs. Although I will say significantly less than you did, so that's a plus. The Krig and the Farah and the AK-47, just to name the three rifles off the top of my head that I can think of that I've played with and used so far from Cold War. that were previously almost unusable now feel a lot better as well. So the AR meta is way more diverse. You basically can use whatever weapon you want at the moment if you're comfortable with it. I've been using a lot of the M4. I think you know that. It feels like the Kilo's a little easier to compete with now that you can't get absolutely bursted if you face peek something again. So that makes me happy because I'm a big fan of the Kilo as well. You could even use like the Bruin or the PKM from Modern Warfare if you wanted to, and then like I said, the Cold War weapons like the automatic rifles. I think the QBZ, the AK, the Krig are all pretty good options. I've seen a lot of those. So overall, this might be knock on wood, the most diverse meta we've seen.
Yeah, and that would be great because I suck at the game. So if there's a lot of options and guns I feel more comfortable with using. Like I love the Krig. I remember when Cold War came out, I was like, man, this gun's gonna fucking slap in Warzone at some point. And it didn't for the first 2 seasons. And now like I'll go on YouTube or I'll go on Twitch and people are using it and I'm like, finally.
It's a little less bouncy in Warzone now. It feels like too. And just I think they made it so that, like the bullet velocity and stuff, it feels like it's in a really good spot right now.
Yeah, and with talking about Warzone, I want to peek the new Warzone map that you have
we
ever so diligently found. Now, out of this, because I haven't played, what is your favorite update to the map overall? Like new spot, I guess. Like I know Summit's a new part, and Factory, and the salt mine. I know Lumber. Then isn't Lumber a farmland now? Whatchamadinger?
Part of farmland is some sort. People are saying it's a reskinned version of Standoff, the multiplayer map from Black Ops 2. I'll be honest, I've only been in that area one time, and it wasn't immediately apparent to me which orientation it was. So I might have to explore that a little more because it very well could be. It must have been a significant kind of reskin and redesign. On the way our group tends to play. We land a lot in this northern third of the map up here where it was Quarry, now it's Salt Mine, the military base, and then what was the dam / Upper Hills area is now Summit. Haven't really explored too much of Summit, except in passing. We've rotated through there a couple of times. Military base is mostly the same, except they redid the tents area quite heavily. There's 2 big barracks buildings in there now. So honestly, it's a little more ratty than it was, which doesn't make me super happy. But also those 2 buildings have good sight lines to different parts of the map, so I'm not altogether unhappy with it. The area that I played in the most so far that I can report, I feel a lot better about is the salt mine. You can't really tell because it's a very terrible quality picture. No offense to whoever tweet this is. I hid their name as to not roast them directly. But thank you for actually putting a picture because, again, I couldn't find one anywhere else. They took out, like that big 5-story quarry building that was in this far corner up here.
Yep.
That's not there anymore. It's like
I didn't know.
Since we're in the past, I don't know if we said that. This is now Verdansk 1984. So we went from 2021 back in time by 40 years. And so they haven't mined that part yet, So there was no room to put a building because they haven't dug up that part of the hill yet. So it's only the 2 kind of long 2-story quarry buildings now. Or I guess 3-story. Which, they're still kind of campy, but that building was just annoying to have to push. There was only one staircase if a team decided to hole up in the top of it, but it was a very powerful position, so you kind of needed to get people out the top of it. So that's kind of nice that that's gone. Haven't spent a ton of time around the factory myself, but I've seen a lot of gameplay so far since Factory Superstore is the area that obviously a lot of the high-skill streamer teams drop. So that area looks pretty good. The airport is very weird now, very different since it's not destroyed, like it was.
Yeah.
The airport had that freaking big ass hole in the north side of it that you could run in. That doesn't exist anymore. So it's more traditional, but honestly, Jake and I lost a game literally just because we couldn't find a doorway to go through in the airport.
Oh wow.
And like the zone killed us. So that part kind of sucked, I'm not going to lie. So what I was trying to say by that isn't that it was a bad design. It was more they've definitely changed some routes. Like it still feels very familiar, which is nice, but they've changed certain things. The one thing I will say I'm disappointed at from a map design perspective is they did not get rid of, I don't feel like, enough of the like tall campy buildings in the promenade / hospital / downtown area. This area still feels very ratty if you have to play it late game. James and I had a game end in downtown. Was that yesterday? And I can report it was pretty much the same BS that you ran into before. A lot of guys sitting on rooftops that have probably been there a fair share of the game, just holding it down. Unfortunate. Prison still feels really, really bad if the zone pulls that way. I don't know. I would have liked a little more from a map redesign, but I also, I'll take it since the meta is pretty good right now.
And with that, I think that wraps up Warzone's update. I haven't played it yet. I will hopefully get to it tomorrow when I get off work,
Ooh.
so I could have more to report at a later date. But I'm excited.
Yeah.
And with that,
Just a couple little housekeeping items to round out the pod today. We
we're
haven't talked about the NBA in a while. We haven't talked about anything in a while, let's be fair, but
yeah,
um,
the NBA. What a weird season this is. What a weird season. Like,
yeah, considering I haven't paid much attention to the NBA at all. Obviously I've just
it.
pulled up the standings here, and to see New York as the fourth best team in the East,
They're like
they're on a
eight or nine.
they're on a 9-game win streak.
Yeah, dude.
They're 7 games over 500. Like I'm dumbfounded more than anything. Atlanta has pulled themselves out of the gutter, while teams I think we talked about this last time we had a pod, but like the Heat and the Pacers, who were expected to be in the top 4 or 5, them being in a spot where they might not even make the playoffs if it started today, they'd be in the play-in. So
Yeah.
that's
See,
quite wild.
I hate the East because I still don't like the Nets. It's weird to me that the Nets are the Nets when they KD, Harden, and Kyrie have only played like 7 full games together this entire season.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're all three on the court is when they play the worst,
Yeah.
which is crazy to me. And then you go down to the West, right? Look at the West. Look at the Phoenix Suns. 42-17.
I'm telling you right now, if Monty Williams doesn't win Coach of the Year, I'm gonna freaking riot. All respect to Quinn Snyder, and all respect to Steve Nash, right? Is the Nets coach?
Yep.
All respect to those two. They're fantastic coaches. The fact that the Phoenix Suns were like here
Yeah.
last year, and now they're challenging for the number 1 seed in the West within one season. I'm gonna tell you, there was some juju in that bubble, and they bottled it, and it now sits in the locker room in Phoenix, and it's shit's wild, bro. It's absolutely wild.
It's honestly crazy. And it's a weird indication because like I see the Nuggets and the Clippers over the Lakers, but then you have to say, okay, the Lakers last night or the other night, AD had his first game back in a hot minute in like 30 games, and KCP and Dennis Schroeder scored 55 points
Yeah,
combined.
the Lakers team doesn't make sense right now, especially once you took out AD and Braun.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously that team took kind of a nosedive. They were first or second the whole season up to that point, and now that honestly, they're still. If Braun and AD are on the court come playoff time, they're going to be a very, very tough out. That's 100%.
Oh, yeah.
But them sitting here in the 5-6 spot does not do them a whole lot of favors. Because, like, if they were 1 or 2, they get a fairly easy series to start off with. No matter what here, they look like, because they're 3 games behind Denver for the 4 seed. But, I mean, even then, these two just flip, right? They're 7.5 games behind the Clippers for the 3 seed. They're guaranteeing themselves, like, the hardest road possible.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%. I still think when it comes down to it, I just don't see how and I'm a biased fan, so obviously, but I still don't see how they don't make the Western Conference Finals. Like, when you get down to it, I
think the Nuggets are going to take a big hit losing Jamal Murray, obviously.
Yeah. So that's going to be a big hit. But then, like, AD you
saw Denver's ability to push them, in the West Finals last year, and I feel like Denver only got better. Obviously, losing Murray hurts. If Murray was healthy, this would be a heck of a first round series.
Oh yeah, it's gonna.
But then you get a Jazz team that, like, yeah, the Jazz aren't perfect, but there's a reason that they're the top of the West right now. They've found a lot of ways to win games this year.
I'm just saying, they're the Hawks from the early 2010s. They have that. They give me that impression so bad. Like, I don't ever see them as anything anymore. But I do want to talk about the play-in games for the West. Talk about the Warriors coming back from being like the 13th seed at one point in the season to, like, now they have a viable. They could possibly make the playoffs. Like,
if I were them, I agree. We'll get to that in a minute because that's like the last little NBA thing I want to talk about, right? Honestly, I don't know about you. You could say what you want. I guess I don't have a super strong opinion. I just don't like the fact that there's playing games.
Oh, really?
No.
I do, because, like, when you look at this, the Spurs, the Warriors, Grizzlies, and the Blazers, they're all close.
Okay, I guess in the West, maybe. But here's the thing, right? You're telling me that there's a chance that Miami doesn't make it, but a team like Washington, who is 7 games below 500, could make the play. Like, I get that, in that situation, the team that's ahead of them should beat them, right? I get that. However, in a best of 3 series at best, right? Or it's win 2 if you're the lower seed, win 1 if you're the higher seed, right?
Yep.
Something like that. A lot of fluky shit can happen in 2 games. And so I just don't I don't love it. And you've heard players say, I think it was Draymond was the one I heard speak the loudest about it. If you're a self-respecting player, you shouldn't be trying to just make the fucking play-in games,
Yeah.
Pardon my French, but, like,
well,
what does this do for you realistically? If I were these teams, I'd be trying to get down here where the Pelicans are, because then I don't know if this impacts the lottery in any way. Like, if I accidentally stumble my way ass backwards into the playoffs and lose a spot in the lottery because of it, like, what am I doing? I'm gonna get my clap, my ass clapped by one of these 3 teams anyway.
Yeah.
Or I guess one of these 2, because you'd only get the. I'm probably not winning that first round series. I think the only team in this 4 that could beat either of these two is Portland, and that's because they have Dame on that team. That's like literally it. Or if Golden State makes it in, and as we're talking about, since I don't think there was much more to add on that front.
I was gonna move to why.
Oh, Curry with the absolute heater. We got to shout this man out. This doesn't cover the full stretch of games that he put together, but holy crap. There for about a week and a half, it literally seemed like the dude couldn't miss. You see it here in this 5-game stretch that Kirk Goldsberry took and made into this fantastic shot chart. He averaged 45 points a game for 5 games and shot 46 of 83 from 3. Dude was on an absolute tear. It was crazy to like watch the highlights. He was making I think in these 5 games he made something like 8, 10, 10, and 11 threes or something like that. Yeah. Just stupid numbers. This man should be the MVP regardless of whether Golden State even makes those play-in games. Because realistically, if you didn't have this man getting a bucket and a half every night, where would you be? You'd probably be right back in the top 3 like you were last year for the draft.
Facts. That's all I have to say.
Oh yeah, we got to shout that man out. Steph Curry's the shooting GOAT. I mean, neither of us I don't think would dispute that. This man is actually built different. And then the last little NBA thing that we've seen that kind of combines these last this episode, just brings it full circle. The MCU and ESPN are collaborating.
Yeah, and this like cool little thing. Like I look at it as like it's the better version of when Nickelodeon and the NFL got together.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of.
They call it Marvel's Arena of Heroes is what it'll be called. And it'll be, it doesn't say the date on there, but between the Warriors and Pelicans game. And it looks like a fantastic, fun time. I would tell everyone who has the opportunity, go watch it. I think it'll be great.
To read the quote from The Athletic on Twitter to describe the event a little bit, ESPN and Marvel will collaborate on an alternate telecast of an NBA game in which the Avengers will recruit Warriors and Pelicans players to fight alongside them against an invading alien army. Wow. I'm not 100% sure what the heck I just read. But as The Athletic just said, I did read that correctly. There's going to be aliens and Avengers in an NBA game, and it's like Space Jam on steroids or some shit. I don't even know, man. It could be interesting. I'll have to tune in. And then the last little shout out. You don't have to comment on this if you don't want, but I have to get the plug in as my alma mater got the top overall seed in the FCS playoffs, which started today. Go Jacks, baby. And they did win their first round game against the College of the Holy Cross. Thanks for playing, boys. It was fun. The Jacks won 31-3 and played like absolute dog shit. So hopefully they can clean that up. Playing Southern Illinois next week. Very excited. Once it gets down to the semifinals and the championship game, maybe I can convince Denver to watch, and we can comment on those in a later podcast.
I will only watch these games if we get into a private Discord call and you can share your screen with me.
Oh.
Yeah. So if you could pull that off,
we'll see if ESPN will allow me to do such a thing. I doubt that'll happen, but
well,
it's lit
until you try.
True.
And with that
wraps it up. Wow.
We've been talking.
There was a little bit of rust. We had to knock the rust off.
Gotcha.
But we are going to be back at this. Probably not another traditional podcast before the NFL draft, but we're excited to say it that unless something crazy goes wrong, we're going to do a live show.
Yes.
For the NFL draft next Thursday. I believe that is April 29th. And so that could be a ton of fun. At least I hope it will be. Denver and I, obviously big fans of the NFL and all things football. And so I think us just sitting here, I'm thinking maybe, obviously we can't share the screen of the ESPN broadcast. That would be incredibly illegal. And I prefer to keep doing this podcast. I don't know about him. For however long we decide to keep at it. I would hate to have ESPN take us down after a real solid 3-month run here. But we're gonna do that next Thursday. That'd be really cool. We'll obviously share that on socials. And speaking of socials, Denver.
Yeah,
it's been a while since you've done this. This is a big test for you.
Yes. All right, social media accounts you need to go follow and subscribe to. First one, go to Spotify. That's my favorite place to go when I'm not here. It's in my downtime. Got a lot of things going on. Dierks and Denver Podcast. You can find us there and listen to us in audio format. If you love our
search
voices,
that shit.
But if you want to hear our voices and see our beautiful, beautiful domes, go to YouTube at Dierks and Denver Podcast. Search us.
Search that shit.
We don't have a backslash yet, so you have to search us.
Yeah, we're poor yet. It's we don't got that YouTube money.
Maybe and one then day. On Twitter. Let me make sure I get the right Twitter, because I remember you always give me shit about not getting the right Twitter.
You get the other two right most of the time, and then you fuck up the Twitter.
You go to Twitter, you go to your search bar, and you type in @Dierks Denver Pod, and there you can message us, you can retweet us, you can like us, you can follow us, so we can follow you back. We actually don't follow people back, I don't think, but you follow us, and you can DM us, and we'll talk to you. That's how that works, I think. I could 100% be wrong. I'm not the social media guy here, but I like saying it. It's great. It's
you did very good for being off for almost a month. That was quite impressive.
Thank you.
I'll give you a little golf clap.
I watched golf today on a
oh my lord, the world folks, we're probably not going to end up doing an NFL podcast. I don't know that we're going to make it until next week Thursday.
I'll tell you this right now. I could not golf, and I could not watch golf any more than the 10 minutes I was on at work. I wanted to jump off a bridge. It was so effing boring. I wanted to clean up my language here.
Yeah,
because I'm like,
I'll give respect. I don't think golfing's easy, but
oh no, it's boring.
I just can't find it to be a sport that I would.
What? How does that interest?
I'm loving the swing demo. You guys, take notes. Take notes on the swing.
And I'm gonna swing us right out of this podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
Absolutely, folks. You already know how it ends. Wherever you are, wherever you're going, we appreciate you. We hope you tune in next time. This has been another episode of the Dierks and Denver Podcast. Thank you for joining. We're signing off. Bye.